Are you caring for a loved one with dementia? You don't have to figure this out all on your own. Welcome to Truth, Lies, and Alzheimer's, the show that helps you reimagine a new relationship with your loved one, a relationship a little more free of stress and anxiety. Join host Lisa Skinner and her 30-plus years of experience as she guides you on a new path to a better relationship with those you care for. Here's Lisa.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another brand new episode of the Truth, Lies, and Alzheimer's Show. I'm your host, Lisa Skinner, and I am so happy for you to be here sharing part of your day with me. I have chosen a very special topic today to share with everybody. And really, what I'm going to be discussing is why offering stimulating activities to people living with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia is so beneficial for them. And I'm going to go into a lot of detail of how it's beneficial and then also offer you a pretty comprehensive list of different types of activities that you can implement into your daily activity planning with the person you're caring for or with your family member. All right, so dementia. It's not just forgetfulness. Dementia, as we know, is a general term for loss of memory, language, and other thinking abilities that interfere with our daily lives. And it's most commonly in the form of Alzheimer's disease. Now, there are other types of brain diseases that also cause dementia. There have been over 200 identified, but some of the other more common types that many of you may have heard are Lewy body dementia. That's the one that Robin Williams had been diagnosed with. There's Parkinson's dementia, vascular dementia, and frontotemporal dementia, which is the condition that both Bruce Willis has been diagnosed with, and also Wendy Williams, for those of you that didn't know that. The current estimate of how many people will develop dementia in their lifetime is now higher than ever. 42% for both men and women, according to a brand new study, with about 1 in 9 Americans age 65 or older currently dealing with dementia. And this is according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. And there are currently 55 million people affected worldwide. But it's projected that that number is going to triple by the year 2050. Do the math, it's only 25 years away from the number that I just told you, 55 million today. That number is expected to triple in the next 25 years if a cure or a treatment is not found. That's scary. So some of the other prominent cognitive changes that we see with dementia, and this is important to understand because it's not just about memory loss. It's not just about confusion. People experience changes in their vision. They have trouble with visual images and spatial relationships, including vision changes that could lead to issues with their balance or reading, and difficulty judging distance or seeing color contrasts. This can affect people living with dementia greatly, according to the Alzheimer's Association. They also experience, and this one's interesting, I don't know, a lot of people may not be aware of this one, that they experience a diminished sense of smell. Loss of their, it's called olfactory function, that's synonymous with smell, is also an early symptom of neurodegenerative diseases, including Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And this is according to recent findings published in Neurology. It is found that the link between sense of smell and cognitive changes may be especially pronounced among those who develop cognitive impairment, in other words, dementia. We see changes in behavior, including apathy or increased anxiety. That's very common. But apathy, according to a 2023 study published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, could be a sign that someone is progressing from mild cognitive impairment, also known as MCI, which is less severe than dementia, into Alzheimer's disease. Acting increasingly anxious, confused, fearful, irritable, or suspicious, meanwhile, may also be a sign of dementia, according to the Alzheimer's Association, as can a person's withdrawal from social activities due to having difficulty following and taking part in conversations. Well, that stands to reason. We also see disruptions in memory loss, including word loss. One of the most common early signs of dementia is short-term memory loss. It's the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. So what that looks like is with them forgetting important dates or events, repeating questions over and over, and an increasing need to rely on reminder notes, phone alerts, or family members for that matter, for things previously handled independently. Also noted by the Alzheimer's Association. In addition, language problems such as not being able to find the right word, using the wrong word as a substitute, we call that confabulation, or jumbling the order of words may be a sign, particularly of frontotemporal dementia. Another common cognitive function loss that we see with dementia is in trouble multitasking or completing familiar tasks. This is all part of brain disease. Experiencing changes in one's ability to develop and follow a plan, work with numbers, following a familiar recipe becomes difficult. Keeping track of monthly bills are all signs to pay attention to, as is having difficulty concentrating or taking much longer to do things than it did before. Another sign is that it's suddenly hard to complete daily tasks, such as driving to a familiar location, organizing a simple grocery list, or remembering the rules of a favorite game. They lose their capacity to make sound judgments about decisions. A change in judgment or decision-making skills is a common early sign. Using poor financial judgment, for example, so they let their grooming fall by the wayside. We see this all the time. Further, according to the findings of a recent study, being vulnerable to financial scams can also be an early indicator of Alzheimer's disease. And then we have depression. A sudden onset of depression later in life can also be a warning sign of dementia. And the Alzheimer's Association tells us that up to 40% of people with Alzheimer's disease do suffer from significant depression. It may also be a precursor to dementia, according to a 2023 study published in JAMA Neurology, JAMA, which found that dementia risk more than doubled for adults previously diagnosed with depression. While depression diagnosed later in life is generally thought to be an early symptom of dementia, the results of the study suggest that a depression diagnosis at any point in adulthood increases the risk of dementia later on. And that is a quote by Holly Elzer, who's a neurology resident at Penn Medicine. And she said that were part of the findings in this study. So, needless to say, I think we can all agree on this. Caring for someone with dementia is a deeply compassionate act, but it also comes with challenges. So many challenges. One of the most important aspects of dementia care is ensuring that individuals continue to experience joy, connection, and purpose in their daily lives. Engaging in thoughtful and meaning activities can significantly enhance the quality of life for people living with dementia. Not only do these activities help stimulate cognitive function, but they also promote social interaction and provide much needed emotional comfort. It's very important to create vibrant opportunities for individuals living with dementia by focusing on activities that honor each person's unique essence. And that includes creative arts, physical activities, social engagements, and tapping into all five of their senses. So why are activities so important for memory loss in patients? So even when people with dementia are at the stage where they require round-the-clock care, they can still benefit from activities that exercise their bodies and minds. Keeping busy may help them avoid boredom and also preserve their mental and physical skills. Additionally, activities may provide a sense of purpose while improving daily functioning. And we know that feeling you still have purpose in life is one of our very basic human needs. It's at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Everybody is wired to feel that they still have purpose, or you just decline. So, by offering meaningful activities, it may delay the onset of dementia among people who don't even have it yet, but may develop it later on. There is a study published in 2021 where researchers analyzed the activities of adults, 1903 to be exact, and followed up with them over the next several years. Of the participants who went on to develop Alzheimer's disease, those who participated in activities like reading, writing, and playing games developed it an average of 5 years later. Social interaction can enhance mood, reduce feelings of isolation, and promote a sense of belonging for people with dementia. These are just some of the known benefits of social activities. For sensory activities, the National Council on Aging reports that sensory experiences can benefit people with cognitive decline and dementia. Exercising our five senses, which are sight, smell, hearing, touch, and taste, may help keep the brain flexible. Activities that involve sensory stimulation include things like smelling essential oils, listening to music, singing holiday songs, playing a simple instrument like a tambourine, or if the person knew in their earlier life how to play the piano, they may still remember from memory how to still play the piano. If you sit them down in front of a piano, they might just start playing. Playing with a cat or a dog, working with Play-Doh or clay, looking at art, spending time in nature, taste testing different foods, because we know that these sensory activities can help stimulate their memories, improve their moods, enhance communication, and keep them connected to their life. So, by providing a nurturing environment and engaging opportunities, caregivers can help those with dementia stay connected to the world around them. And this is why activities matter so much in dementia care. For individuals with dementia, staying mentally and physically active can be their lifeline. These activities encourage neurological stimulation, which may help slow cognitive decline. We've seen this. In addition, activities provide structure, they ease anxiety, and contribute to that very necessary sense of accomplishment that we are all wired to want. Simple pleasures like hearing a favorite song, completing an art project, or even chatting with a friend can foster moments of connection and joy. Meaningful activities allow people to express their identities. Even as their memories slip away, sensory and emotional experiences often remain vivid. Keep that in mind. This emotional connection is why a familiar scent or a favorite taste or the warmth of a caregiver's touch can mean so much to them. So some of the suggestions of types of engaging activities that you can implement into the person you care for or your loved one are creative arts. Creative art, artistic expressions taps um, into people's emotions and creativity, helping bypass the limitations of memory loss. Creative activities like painting, drawing, or crafting offer individuals a sense of freedom and accomplishment. Then there's also art therapy. This can be incredibly powerful. By focusing on seeing through dementia and using creative arts for self-expression, this can empower the individuals to communicate in ways that don't rely on verbal skills, which they more often than not lose. One-on-one or group art sessions can bring out hidden talents and foster connections as people share their works with others. And then, of course, music. Music is so powerful. It has such a profound impact of creative expression for people living with dementia. So by listening to familiar songs, that can trigger their memories, while singing along or playing simple instruments promotes engagement and joy. Music is often used to uplift people's spirits, soothe agitation, and improve social involvement. So you can see how people with dementia do benefit greatly from structured activities. These activities not only stimulate their minds, but we know through studies that it helps reduce their anxiety that is so commonly seen with dementia. It helps reduce agitation and depression. Games, for example, offer a sense of normalcy and give patients a way to connect with their environment and with their loved ones. Also, many activities and games can improve physical coordination and encourage emotional expression. So I'm going to give you some examples and tell you why certain activities are found to be beneficial. So we know puzzles have been found to be extremely beneficial because they help to stimulate cognitive functions while providing a calming experience. So the recommendation is to opt for puzzles with larger pieces and simpler images to avoid frustration. Another good suggestion is picture matching. This is popular among people with dementia. So one of the suggestions could be that you could do is use old family photos or pictures from magazines and create a matching game. This can be a wonderful way to stir up memories and encourage conversation. Sorting games are great. You can have them sort objects by color, shape, or size. These are all fun and therapeutic. You can use items like buttons or coins or beads. Games for seniors with dementia that involve sorting, we know, help improve focus and fine motor skills. Gardening is an excellent activity. For those who love nature, gardening is a great option. Simple tasks like planting seeds, watering plants, or even just touching the soil can be calming and enjoyable. Card games, classic games like Go Fish or Snap, can be adapted into dementia games. So opt for cards with large numbers and colorful images to make the game easier to follow. And then, of course, there's the good old sing-along sessions. Music, there's no question, has a profound effect on people living with dementia. So one of the things you can do is create a playlist of their favorite songs, but make those songs from their younger years. Those are the ones they will recognize and identify with, and they would be more encouraged and inspired to want to sing along. Cooking and baking has proven to be a very beneficial activity. Taps into our, what our five senses: taste, sense, smell, touch. Simple recipes like making cookies or preparing sandwiches can be turned into a fun activity. But be sure to assist them with any sharp objects or hot surfaces. You got to supervise cooking and baking activities. Coloring is awesome. Coloring books designed for adults can be relaxing and a way to spend time. So choose books with simple designs and use non-toxic crayons or markers. Word search games are great. Customize word searches with large print and familiar words and simpler words can help with cognitive stimulation. This is one of the top games to play with dementia patients that have been proven to be both fun and mentally engaging. And then ball tossing is another great suggestion. Use a soft, lightweight ball. It can be done indoors. Throwing or rolling rolling the ball back and forth helps with hand-eye coordination and provides light physical exercise. I'm going to give you a list now of some other activities that you can try with your people. So one of the things that I know is very popular in memory care environments is to have them fold laundry. For example, towels or napkins. A lot of people love to arrange flowers, listen to audiobooks, knitting or crocheting, especially if that was one of the activities they enjoyed in their younger years. Making scrapbooks with their caregivers or family members is an activity to do while visiting. You can have them sort playing cards by the suit or the colors. Watching nature documentaries and invoking conversations and discussions about what they're seeing in the documentaries are great. Bird watching, identifying birds. Watercolor painting, building with blocks, playing with sensory balls. Simple yoga or stretching exercises. These are things that can be done while they're sitting in chairs. Having them set the table. This is another activity that we have seen over the years that is very rewarding, especially for women who were homemakers in their earlier years, because it's something they did pretty much every night. This helps trigger those older memories. Arranging photo albums is a very creative, and you can talk about each photo as you're placing them and arranging them into the album. Reading simple poems, playing with clay or Play-Doh, counting coins, stacking coins based on their denominations, having them organize a drawer, doing simple puzzles, storytelling based on old photos, decorating cookies. That taps into a lot of the senses, because not only can you do it as an activity and decorate them, but you can eat them afterwards. Finger painting, that's a very calming activity. Listening to classical music, creating a sensory box with lots of different textures. This is similar to a fidget blanket that I've talked about. Dancing to favorite tunes, practicing shuffling cards, and that helps strengthen their dexterity. You can have them as an activity make jewelry using large beads, arranging magazines by color. I mentioned this already, playing a simple instrument like a tambourine, watching old movies that'll trigger those older memories, guided meditation with soft music, scent recognition game using essential oils. You can use familiar scents like oranges and uh, ginger and things like that, and have them smell it, and then you identify the scent and let them respond to that. Hand massages with lotions are great. Creating a memory jar. And then just a few more. Sorting coins into piggy banks. That's a fun one. Drawing shapes on paper and talking about the shapes. Having them match socks. I've seen that done a lot, and people really enjoy that. And then decorating a small plant pot is a fulfilling activity. So there are, for those of you who aren't aware, there are board games that are adapted specifically for people living with dementia. Games like Snakes and Ladders or Ludo can be adapted into simpler versions, which is important. So that it uses larger dice and vibrant boards, and this makes them perfect games for people with dementia. You can organize a scavenger hunt by creating a small, simple hunt inside the house using everyday items, familiar items that they will recognize. This is a really fun way to get them moving and interacting with their surroundings. And then some other sensory activities that we know are pleasurable and effective are to offer objects that have different textures, just like you find on those fidget products, such as smooth stones or soft fabrics or textured balls. And we know that sensory activities do help soothe agitation in people living with dementia. So there are some really creative ideas. I know it's hard to think of things to offer and kind of change them up. So there's a huge list for you to try different things and see what they enjoy. And then you can continue to offer the things that really seem to resonate with them. So I'm going to now give you tips for these, for success, tips for success with these dementia activity suggestions. Always keep it simple. This is really important. So you need to choose activities that match their ability level to avoid frustration. So be mindful of the stage of progression that they are currently in with their dementia. You can make activities a little more complicated in the earlier stages and then taper it off, simpler, 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 simpler as they're progressing into the more severe stages of the disease. Always create a safe environment and ensure the area is safe for any physical activities to prevent accidents. Focus on their interests. This is where it's really important to know about the person you care for or your family member, so you can tailor the activities to what it is that they enjoyed before the onset of their dementia. And here are some tips to keep in mind before starting the activities. Plan the activities to be short because remember, people with dementia can find it very challenging to keep their focus on anything for a long period of time. Think of activities that are stimulating and easy to follow, and hopefully I have given you enough suggestions where you'll be able to do that. And plan activities that involve easy, repetitive actions and simple steps. Activities with repetitive action are manageable even for people with advanced dementia. Give adequate time in between instructions. Don't forget, it takes them a lot longer to process information than it takes us to process information. So keep that in mind. Wait for the person to complete a step before giving the next instruction. Now, I want to emphasize this. Assist if you see they're struggling because you don't want them to get discouraged or frustrated. But it is definitely recommended not to complete the activity for them. Let them complete it so they feel the joy and the accomplishment of completing that activity. Pay close attention to their reaction and try not to overstimulate them during the activity. And if the person loses interest, you can alter the activity or switch to a different one, or simply take a break and go back to it later on. Remember, it's fine if they might be more interested in doing the activity than getting to the outcome. Because, and I've said this before, they lose the ability to task sequence. So depending on what stage of the dementia they're in, they might not even recognize if it's completed or not. So let them, you follow their lead on that. So let me give you an example. Mixing cookie dough by hand might be fun and stimulating activity for the individual, but they might not want to be involved in the baking part. You can still bake the cookies, and then they can get the satisfaction of either frosting the cookies, decorating the cookies, and then finally eating cookies. So you can make it just a real universal activity that taps into many of our senses. Here are a few other activities that can bring what I call simple joy. And this was a list that I found provided by the Alzheimer's Association. Simple things like just smelling the smell of morning coffee, flowers, or herbs, tasting some of their favorite foods, eating familiar spices in their meals, drinking something cold or something warm, listening to traffic noises from the street, hearing farm animal sounds, the ringing of church bells. That's a good one. Or, of course, again, their favorite music, and singing along to their favorite familiar music. People who haven't spoken for a long time, you play their favorite music that they recognize. And I have personally witnessed this. They will start belting out the words because it triggered the memories of that familiar song. Reading a favorite book, either to them, probably more to them. So to recap, I want to emphasize one more time, building connections is particularly meaningful as it reflects the need for a sense of community. Having access to peers and caregivers who genuinely understand their needs can make all the difference in the world for individuals living with dementia. And finally, the positive effects of engaging activities go far beyond the moment. Regular participation in meaningful activities, just to sum this up, has been shown to reduce anxiety and agitation. That's a fact. Improve mood and emotional well-being. That's a fact. Strengthen cognitive function through stimulation. That's a fact. Foster connection and reduce loneliness. That's a fact. Boost physical health and overall fitness. That's a fact. So, in conclusion, I want to leave you with this thought. Every small success, whether it's painting a picture, completing a puzzle, or simply smiling more, contributes to a better quality of life for anyone and everyone who's living with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia. So I hope this has been really valuable information that I have shared with you today. I hope you all take what I've shared and implement it into your world, either caring for somebody living with dementia or to have ideas of things to do upon visits with your very special loved ones so you can focus on what really matters, is what I say. Spending quality time with your loved one and minimizing the stress and the challenges that follow us all around day in and day out living with these diseases. I appreciate all of you for being here and sharing in this episode of the Truth Lies in Alzheimer's show. Once again, I'm Lisa Skinner, your host, and I promise I'll be back again next week with another new episode for all of you to increase your awareness and increase your education about living with this condition. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll look forward to having you back next week. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Truth, Lies, and Alzheimer's. We hope you found something in today's episode that helps. We understand that caring for a loved one with dementia can be the challenge of a lifetime, but you don't have to do it alone. If you're ready for exclusive access to even more great content and resources, head on over to Facebook and join Lisa's Minding Dementia support group. We're a community of like-minded caregivers, and we're here to help.